Normally, when a company needs a component, it places a purchase order. If it really, really needs a component, it signs a long-term supply agreement. But in the AI memory market, the world's largest tech companies are doing something that has no precedent in the industry. According to Reuters, they have approached SK Hynix, South Korea's memory chip maker, with offers to help fund new production lines and to purchase the manufacturing equipment needed to make more advanced memory chips. These machines, made by Dutch firm ASML, cost roughly $300 million each. That is not a purchase order. That is a customer offering to finance the supplier's factory. And the strangest part is that SK Hynix is hesitant, not because it does not want the money, because it has nothing left to sell anyway. As one source told Reuters, regardless of the type of offer, available capacity is essentially zero right now. There isn't even a small portion that can be designated for a specific customer. When a customer offers to buy you a $300 million machine and you still have to think about it, you are no longer in a commodity business. You are sitting on a choke point. Let's unpack this. The AI boom is usually told as a story about NVIDIA GPUs. That makes sense. NVIDIA designs the accelerators doing the heavy computation behind modern AI models. But a GPU is only useful if it can be fed data quickly enough. That is where HBM, high bandwidth memory, comes in. Think of the GPU as the engine. HBM is the fuel line. If the fuel line is too narrow, the engine starves. It doesn't matter how powerful the engine is, the whole system slows down. AI workloads require moving enormous amounts of data between memory and compute at constant speed. HBM sits directly next to the GPU and provides the bandwidth needed to keep the accelerator running. Without HBM, there is no AI cluster. For years, memory was the cyclical, brutal, commodity side of semiconductors. Prices went up, prices went down, companies overbuilt, margins collapsed, repeat. AI changed the economics. The boom created demand not just for more memory, but for a specific kind of memory that only a few companies can produce at scale. Memory is no longer just a component. OpenAI COO Brad Lightcap confirmed this at a conference in early 2026. When asked about the bottlenecks facing AI infrastructure expansion, he said, "Right now, it's memory. It's been power in the past." The official story is that AI needs a lot of memory. True, but incomplete. The deeper issue is what it costs to produce the right kind of memory. HBM stacks multiple chips vertically and connects them with microscopic pathways, giving it the bandwidth advantage AI requires. But from a manufacturing perspective, it eats capacity. Micron CEO Sanjay Mehrotra disclosed the arithmetic to investors. HBM carries roughly a 3-to-1 capacity trade-off against standard DDR5. Every time a manufacturer converts its cleanroom to produce HBM, it consumes 3 times the factory space that would otherwise produce conventional chips. Cleanroom space is finite, which means this is a zero-sum game. Every wafer allocated to HBM is a wafer denied to the memory inside a laptop, a phone, or a standard server. AI doesn't just create demand for more memory, it physically removes supply from the rest of the market. This is why prices can move so violently. More AI servers need more HBM. More HBM consumes more DRAM capacity. Less DRAM is available for everything else. Memory prices surged 80 to 90% quarter over quarter from Q4 2025 into Q1 2026. Micron says it can currently fill only 55 to 60% of core customer demand. The scale of the reorientation is visible inside the memory makers themselves. Micron reported that HBM and other cloud-related memory went from 17% of its DRAM revenue in 2023 to nearly 50% in 2025. The shortage is not a demand spike. It's an architectural consequence of what HBM costs to make. By the way,
Understanding why AI supply constraints like this are structural rather than cyclical is exactly what we cover every week in our newsletter, ARPU. If that kind of analysis is useful to you, the link is at the top of the description.
The obvious solution is to throw money at the problem. But semiconductor capacity doesn't scale like cloud software. You can't swipe a credit card and get a new fab. You need cleanroom space, EUV tools, advanced packaging, qualified engineers, years of construction. SK Group's chairman has said the shortage could last until 2030, and that rebuilding supply takes 4 to 5 years. That's why the Reuters story matters. If customers are offering to fund production lines and purchase manufacturing equipment, it means they understand this won't be resolved by the next quarterly planning cycle. They're trying to secure future capacity before it exists. And even that may not be enough. SK Hynix is cautious about customer financing because it doesn't want to become financially dependent on a single buyer, and because there is simply no capacity to allocate right now. This is vendor financing in reverse. The customer is trying to help the supplier build more product because there is no other way to get it. When a critical component becomes physically scarce, procurement stops being a back-office function. It becomes strategy. And right now, the memory market has effectively split in two. There's the reserved market, companies that secured capacity years in advance through long-term agreements, prepayments, and deep supplier relationships. And the spot market, everyone else, buying whatever is left at whatever price the market demands. Broadcom is the cleanest example of the first group. On a recent earnings call, CEO Hock Tan told investors something remarkable, that Broadcom had fully locked in its supply of high-bandwidth memory, leading-edge wafers, and substrates all the way through 2028. Not for this year, not for next year, through 2028. In a market where SK Hynix says available capacity is essentially zero, Broadcom had already reserved everything it needed. When Broadcom sells custom AI chips to hyperscalers, it's not just selling engineering, it's selling confidence that those chips can actually be built. And that confidence comes from securing supply before the shortage arrived. Then there's the other market. Companies without secured allocations have to buy from what the industry calls the spot market, the open market for chips available right now at whatever price the shortage demands. Unlike a long-term supply agreement, there is no fixed price and no guaranteed volume. You pay what the market asks, or you don't get the chips. Dell's COO, Jeff Clark, disclosed on their latest earnings call just how brutal that market had become. In the 6 months before that call, the cost of a gigabyte of DRAM had risen by more than 5 times, and the price trend is expected to continue for the next few quarters. Other companies are feeling the heat in the spot market. Supermicro reported memory and SSD costs more than tripling in a 6-month window. Cisco cited higher memory costs as a direct cause of margin pressure. These are not small companies with weak procurement teams. They're major hardware businesses. But if you're not sitting on secured allocation, you're exposed. That's the new split in tech. Tier 1 bought a place in line years ago. Tier 2 is buying whatever is left. So where does that leave us? The AI arms race has become a race for bottlenecks. Models need GPUs, GPUs need HBM, HBM needs cleanroom space, EUV tools, advanced packaging, and years of capacity planning. That's why customers are reportedly offering to finance their own suppliers. They're not just buying chips, they're buying a place in line. And in a shortage, the place in line may be the most valuable asset of all.
The next question, how tech companies and hyperscalers at the center of this shortage are adjusting their own economics as a result, is what we go deep every week in our newsletter, ARPU. Subscribe at the link in the description. Thanks for watching.